The sun filtered gently through the leaves of a quiet city street, casting dappled light onto the cobblestones. Inside a small cafe called Cozy Brew, Anna, a young waitress with a kind but unassuming demeanor, bustled about serving customers. It was a Sunday morning like any other, or so it seemed. Among the patrons was a man dressed simply in jeans, a checkered shirt, and a baseball cap. Few would have recognized him as Elon Musk, the billionaire whose innovations had shaped the modern world. Elon had come to the cafe seeking solitude, enjoying the simplicity of a cup of coffee and a slice of apple pie. But the peaceful morning was shattered by the loud roar of motorcycle engines. 5 rough-looking bikers, led by a man named Roy, stormed into the cafe, their loud laughter and overpowering presence unsettling the quiet atmosphere. As the bikers took over the space, their attention soon turned to Elon, sitting quietly at his table. Roy, noticing Elon's calm demeanor, approached with mockery. "What's a guy like you doing in a place like this? Lost your way, pal?" Elon's composed reply, urging them to enjoy their day without causing trouble, only fueled their taunts. Anna, watching from behind the counter, felt her heart pound as tension escalated. When Roy reached for Elon's pie and the bikers began to harass him further, Anna knew she couldn't stay silent. Summoning all her courage, she stepped forward. "This is a cafe, not a playground for bullies. If you want to order something, I'll serve you. Otherwise, you need to leave." The cafe fell silent. All eyes turned to Anna, standing behind the counter, her voice trembling but resolute. Roy's laughter echoed through the small space, a cruel sound that seemed to mock her bravery. "What's this?" he sneered, turning his attention away from Elon. "A little waitress playing the hero? You sure you're up for this, sweetheart?" Anna clenched her fists tightly, her knuckles white against the tray she held. Fear coursed through her veins, but she refused to let it show. "I'm not asking," she said, her voice steadying as she spoke. "You're disturbing everyone here. Leave now, or I'll have to call the police." The tension in the room thickened as Roy's smirk widened, his ego bruised by the young woman's defiance. He leaned closer, towering over Anna. "You think I'm scared of you? Or the cops?" His voice was low, menacing, as his crew erupted in jeers. Elon watched the exchange intently, his sharp eyes darting between Anna and the bikers. He remained seated, his expression calm but calculating. As Roy turned back toward him, picking up the slice of apple pie, Elon finally spoke, his tone even but firm. "If you're going to take that, you might as well pay for it. But if you can't manage that, put it down and leave." Roy's face twisted with anger. "And who do you think you are to tell me what to do?" he growled, slamming the pie back onto the plate with a splatter. Before the situation could escalate further, Anna stepped out from behind the counter, positioning herself between Roy and Elon. Her heart pounded, but she met Roy's gaze without flinching. "You're not welcome here," she repeated, her voice unwavering. The bikers exchanged glances, their boisterous laughter faltering. It was clear that Anna's courage had caught them off guard. Roy, however, wasn't ready to back down. He leaned in closer, his breath hot with the stench of cigarettes. "You've got guts, I'll give you that," he sneered. "But guts won't get you far when you're outnumbered." From the corner of the room, an older customer muttered under his breath, "This won't end well." Others shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact with the unfolding confrontation. A young couple near the window grabbed their coats and slipped out quietly, their faces pale with apprehension. Just as Roy reached out to shove Anna aside, the faint sound of police sirens pierced the air. One of the cafe staff had discreetly called for help, and the approaching sound seemed to deflate the biker's bravado. Roy's smirk wavered, replaced by a scowl. "You're lucky this time," he spat, stepping back. "But don't think this is over." The bikers began to retreat, their swagger noticeably diminished as the sirens grew louder. As they exited, the small bell above the cafe door jingled, a sharp contrast to the heavy silence they left behind. Anna exhaled slowly, her knees threatening to buckle beneath her. The adrenaline that had fueled her courage began to wane, leaving her shaken but relieved. She turned to face Elon, who was now standing, his expression a mixture of gratitude and admiration. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice warm but firm. "What you did took real bravery." Anna shrugged, attempting to downplay her actions even as her cheeks flushed. It was the right thing to do. Someone had to stand up to them. The cafe owner, Mr. Smith, approached cautiously, his face pale from the ordeal. "Anna," he began, his tone a mix of frustration and concern, "what were you thinking? You could have gotten hurt." Anna met his gaze, her voice steady despite the fear still lingering in her chest. "I was thinking about what's right. And I'd do it again if I had to." The remaining customers began to murmur among themselves, some expressing admiration for Anna's courage, while others shook their heads in disapproval. The cafe's peaceful atmosphere was slow to return, but one thing was clear: Anna's actions had left an indelible mark on everyone present. As the bikers left and the cafe's door swung shut, the tension lingered like a heavy fog. Anna stood frozen in place, her hands still trembling slightly. The murmurs of the remaining patrons began to fill the silence, their mixed reactions rippling through the room. "She's brave," whispered an elderly woman seated near the window, her eyes filled with admiration. "Brave? More like reckless," muttered another customer, shaking his head. "This is a cafe, not a battleground. She should have just let them be." Anna heard every word. Though she kept her head high, her heart felt heavy. She had acted on instinct, driven by a deep sense of justice, but now she wondered if she had made a mistake. From behind the counter, Mr. Smith, the cafe owner, approached her, his expression a mix of frustration and concern. "Anna, I need to talk to you in the back. Now." She followed him into the small office at the rear of the cafe, her nerves coiled tightly. As soon as the door closed, Mr. Smith's tone turned sharp. "What were you thinking?" he demanded, his voice low but firm. "You could have gotten yourself hurt. And not just you, what about the customers? What about the business?" Anna bit her lip, trying to steady her voice. "I couldn't just stand by and let them intimidate everyone. Someone had to do something." Mr. Smith ran a hand through his graying hair, exhaling deeply. "I get that," he said, softening slightly. "But this isn't the place for heroics. People come here for peace and comfort, not drama. We've already lost customers today because of this." Her heart sank further. She hadn't thought about the potential fallout for the cafe, only about standing up for what was right. "I'm sorry if I caused any trouble," she said quietly. "But I'd do it again if it meant protecting someone from being harassed." Mr. Smith shook his head, his expression conflicted. "Just try to be more careful next time. Not every battle is yours to fight." As Anna returned to the front of the cafe, she felt the weight of the customers' stares. Some nodded at her in quiet approval, while others avoided her gaze altogether. She busied herself cleaning tables and refilling cups, trying to shake off the lingering unease. Later that afternoon, as the cafe settled back into its usual rhythm, Elon approached the counter. Anna looked up, surprised to see him still there. His expression was calm, but his eyes held a warmth that made her feel seen. "Thank you again," he said, his voice low enough that only she could hear. "Not everyone would have had the courage to stand up like you did." Anna managed a small smile, though her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "I just did what anyone should do. It wasn't anything special." Elon's gaze remained steady. "It was special. And it mattered. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." Before she could respond, the cafe door opened, and a group of new customers walked in, breaking the moment. Elon stepped back, giving her a nod before returning to his table. Anna watched him go, feeling a flicker of gratitude amidst the chaos of her emotions. By the time her shift ended, Anna was emotionally drained. She changed out of her uniform and stepped outside, the cool evening air brushing against her skin. As she walked toward the bus stop, her mind replayed the events of the day, the bikers, the customers, Mr. Smith's reprimand, and Elon's quiet words of encouragement. Just as she reached the corner, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The tinted window rolled down, revealing Elon in the driver's seat. "Need a ride?" he asked, a hint of a smile on his face. Anna hesitated, glancing around nervously. "That's really kind of you, but I don't want to trouble you." "It's no trouble," he said. "Hop in." After a moment's hesitation, she climbed into the passenger seat, the soft leather interior a stark contrast to the gritty bus seats she was used to. As they drove through the city streets, Elon broke the silence. "You remind me of someone I used to know," he said, his tone thoughtful. "She believed in doing the right thing, no matter the cost. It's a rare quality." Anna glanced at him, her curiosity piqued. "What happened to her?" He smiled faintly. "She changed the world in her own way. And I have a feeling you'll do the same." As they pulled up to her apartment building, Anna felt a strange mix of exhaustion and hope. She stepped out of the car, turning back to thank him. "I don't know why you've been so kind to me, but, thank you. It means a lot." Elon's eyes softened. Kindness has a way of coming back around. "Take care, Anna." As the car disappeared down the street, Anna stood there for a moment, the weight of the day lifting slightly. For the first time, she felt a glimmer of something she hadn't expected, hope for what might come next. The following day, the cafe buzzed with activity as usual, but Anna's mood remained subdued. She worked quietly, avoiding the gazes of both customers and coworkers. Whispers followed her as she moved between tables, some admiring her courage, others questioning her judgment. "She should have just let it go," one patron murmured to another. "It's not like it's her job to play the hero." "Maybe not," came the reply, "but we need more people like her in the world." Anna tried to block out the chatter, focusing instead on clearing tables and refilling coffee cups. The weight of Mr. Smith's words still lingered. Had she truly made things worse? Was standing up for what was right worth the risk? Around mid-morning, the cafe door opened with its familiar jingle. Heads turned as Elon Musk stepped inside, his presence as understated as it had been the day before. This time, however, he was not alone. Two impeccably dressed assistants flanked him, carrying sleek leather briefcases. The room fell silent, the hum of conversation replaced by a ripple of curiosity. Anna's heart skipped a beat as she spotted him. What is he doing here? She wondered, a mix of anxiety and intrigue bubbling within her. Elon walked directly to the counter, where Anna stood frozen, her hands gripping the edge of the countertop. His expression was calm but purposeful. "Anna," he said, his voice steady yet warm. "Do you have a moment to talk?" She nodded, her words catching in her throat. Mr. Smith, who had been watching the scene unfold from a distance, quickly approached. "Mr. Musk," he began, his tone a blend of deference and surprise, "what brings you back here?" Elon's gaze didn't waver from Anna. "I'm here because of her," he said simply. Mr. Smith blinked, clearly taken aback. "Her? Is there a problem?" "No," Elon replied, his tone firm. "In fact, it's quite the opposite." He turned his full attention to Anna, the room hanging on his every word. "Yesterday, you showed a kind of bravery and integrity that's rare to find. You stood up for what was right, even when it wasn't easy. That kind of character is something I deeply respect." Anna's cheeks flushed, her grip on the counter tightening. "I was just doing what anyone should do," she said softly, her voice barely audible over the quiet hum of the cafe. "Maybe," Elon said, a faint smile playing on his lips. "But not everyone does. And that's why I'm here." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small envelope. Placing it gently on the counter, he continued, "Inside is an offer. My team and I run a foundation focused on community initiatives and social justice. We're always looking for people with your kind of courage and moral compass. If you're interested, I'd like you to join us." Anna stared at the envelope, her mind racing. The room was utterly silent, the weight of the moment pressing on her shoulders. I don't know what to say," she stammered. Elon's smile widened. Say yes, he said simply. The world needs more people like you. As Elon turned to leave, the cafe erupted into murmurs. Some customers clapped quietly, while others exchanged wide-eyed glances. Mr. Smith stood rooted to the spot, his expression a mix of shock and realization. He cleared his throat, stepping toward Anna. Anna, he began, his voice uncharacteristically soft. I owe you an apology. Yesterday, I didn't fully understand what you did or why. But seeing him, it's clear you were right. Anna looked at him, surprised. You don't have to, she began. I do, he interrupted, his tone firm. You reminded all of us that doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. I'm proud to have you on my team. Anna's eyes welled with tears as she nodded. For the first time since the incident, she felt a sense of peace. That evening, as Anna sat at her small kitchen table, the envelope from Elon resting in front of her, she thought about the path her life might take. She hadn't sought recognition or reward, she had simply followed her conscience. And yet, that choice had opened doors she never could have imagined. With a deep breath, she opened the envelope, her heart racing with anticipation. Inside was a letter outlining her potential role in Elon's foundation, a chance to make a difference on a scale she had never dreamed of. A sense of hope blossomed within her, mingled with a determination to rise to the challenge. For the first time in days, Anna allowed herself to smile. She didn't know exactly what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain: standing up for what was right had been worth every moment of doubt and fear. Anna's mind raced as she stared at Elon Musk. The buzz of the cafe seemed to fade into the background, replaced by a singular, overwhelming sense of disbelief. An opportunity like this was beyond anything she had ever imagined, and yet here it was, offered to her on a quiet morning that had started like any other. The envelope in her hands felt heavier than it looked. As the cafe resumed its hum of activity, Anna felt an array of emotions wash over her: excitement, fear, gratitude, and even doubt. Thank you, she repeated, her voice trembling as she held Elon's gaze. I'm not sure what to say, this is so unexpected. Elon's expression softened. Sometimes the best opportunities are the ones we don't expect. Take your time, Anna. Read the offer. Think about what you want. But know this: the world needs people like you. He nodded to her one last time before turning to leave, his bodyguards following close behind. As the cafe door jingled shut, a ripple of murmurs spread through the room. Anna caught snippets of conversations as she stood frozen in place. Did that just happen? A young woman at the corner table whispered to her friend. She must have done something amazing, another voice chimed in. Why else would Elon Musk come here? Mr. Smith approached Anna cautiously, his usual stern demeanor replaced by a hesitant smile. Well, it seems I owe you an even bigger apology, he said, his voice quieter than usual. I underestimated you, Anna. Clearly, you're meant for something much greater than this place. Anna looked at him, surprised by the sincerity in his tone. Thank you, she replied softly. But I'm still not sure I deserve all this. Mr. Smith shook his head. Don't sell yourself short. You've shown more courage in 2 days than most people show in a lifetime. That evening, Anna sat at her small kitchen table, the envelope from Elon still unopened. The events of the day played over and over in her mind. She thought about the bikers, the moment she'd decided to step in, and the fallout that had followed. She thought about the quiet nods of approval from some customers and the sharp whispers of disapproval from others. And, of course, she thought about Elon Musk's words. Finally, with a deep breath, she opened the envelope. Inside was a neatly typed letter outlining the role Elon had mentioned, a leadership position within his company's social welfare foundation. The letter described the foundation's mission to create meaningful change in underserved communities and the qualities they sought in their leaders: courage, integrity, and a commitment to justice. It was everything Anna had always dreamed of doing but had never thought possible. At the bottom of the letter was a handwritten note. Anna, the world is often changed by small acts of bravery. You've already proven you have what it takes. Let's make a difference together. Elon. Tears welled up in Anna's eyes as she read the note. She had spent so much of her life feeling invisible, just another person trying to get by. And now, someone believed in her, not just anyone, but one of the most influential figures in the world. The next morning, Anna returned to the cafe for what she knew would be her final shift. As she walked through the doors, she felt a bittersweet pang. Cozy Brew had been her home for years, a place where she had laughed, struggled, and grown. Leaving it behind wouldn't be easy, but she knew it was time. Mr. Smith greeted her with a nod. Big day? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Big day, Anna confirmed with a small smile. The day passed quickly, filled with well wishes from customers who had heard the news and lingering looks from those who hadn't. By the time her shift ended, Anna felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. As she took off her apron for the last time, she turned to Mr. Smith. Thank you for everything, she said. I'll never forget my time here. You'll always have a place here if you need it, he replied. But I have a feeling you're going to do incredible things. Later that evening, Anna boarded a plane to California, where she would meet Elon and the rest of his team. As the city lights of her hometown faded into the distance, she felt a mixture of nerves and excitement. This was a leap into the unknown, but it was a leap she was ready to take. In her heart, she carried the lessons she had learned at the cafe, the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's hard, the power of kindness and integrity, and the knowledge that even small actions can ripple outward in unimaginable ways. As the plane soared through the night sky, Anna allowed herself to dream about the future. She didn't know exactly what lay ahead, but she knew one thing for certain: her life had changed forever, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. The following days at the cafe were unlike anything Anna had experienced before. Customers who once glanced at her indifferently now stopped to talk, offering words of gratitude and encouragement. What you did was so brave, an elderly woman told her one morning, her hands trembling as she handed over a small bouquet of daisies. The world needs more people like you. Each interaction, though kind, was humbling for Anna. She had acted on instinct, not seeking recognition or praise. And yet, the ripple effect of her actions was undeniable. Whispers of her story had spread through the neighborhood, drawing in curious patrons who wanted to see the brave waitress for themselves. By the end of the week, the cafe's atmosphere had transformed. Mr. Smith, who had initially reprimanded Anna for her actions, now seemed to hold her in a newfound respect. He watched her work with a softer gaze, his usual gruffness tempered by what seemed like quiet admiration. Anna, he said one evening as the last customers filed out. I've been thinking a lot about what happened. You showed me something I'd forgotten, that sometimes, doing the right thing is worth the risk. I owe you more than an apology. I owe you my gratitude. Anna smiled, her chest swelling with a sense of fulfillment she hadn't felt in years. Thank you, Mr. Smith. That means a lot to me. Despite the growing admiration from others, Anna remained grounded. She still questioned whether she was ready for the opportunity Elon Musk had offered. It was a leap into a world she knew little about, a world of high-stakes decisions and unfamiliar challenges. Late one evening, as she sat by her small window overlooking the city, Anna found herself replaying the events of the past week. She thought about the bikers, the fear she'd felt standing up to them, and the relief when the police arrived. She thought about Elon's visit and the heartfelt words he'd shared. Most of all, she thought about the quiet strength she'd discovered within herself, a strength she hadn't realized she possessed. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. When she opened it, she found a young girl standing there, no older than 10, clutching a small notebook. Hi, the girl said shyly. Are you Anna? The waitress from the cafe? Anna nodded, smiling gently. I am. How can I help you? The girl handed over the notebook, her cheeks flushing pink. My mom told me what you did. She said you were really brave, and that I should write about people like you for my school project. I hope it's okay. Flipping through the pages, Anna saw a colorful drawing of herself standing in the cafe, surrounded by smiling customers. Beneath it, the girl had written, "Anna showed us that being kind and brave can make the world better. I want to be like her." Tears filled Anna's eyes as she knelt down to hug the girl. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea how much this means to me." The encounter solidified Anna's resolve. She realized that the opportunity Elon had offered wasn't just a chance to grow, it was a chance to make a difference. The Foundation's mission aligned perfectly with what she had always believed in, standing up for what was right, no matter the cost. The next day, Anna called the number Elon had left in the envelope. His assistant answered, her tone professional yet warm. "Mr. Musk will be thrilled to hear from you," she said. "He's been waiting for your decision." Anna's final day at the cafe was bittersweet. Customers came to bid her farewell, their words of encouragement ringing in her ears. Mr. Smith presented her with a small card, inside which he had written, "You reminded us all of the power of courage. Never stop being you." As Anna stepped out of the cafe for the last time, she felt a surge of excitement for the journey ahead. She didn't know exactly what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain: she was ready to embrace it with an open heart and a steadfast spirit. Anna's story teaches us that bravery and integrity can change not just our lives but the lives of those around us. If this story inspired you, share where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Together, let's spread the message that small actions can lead to big changes.